To the next speaker, I forgot an announcement here earlier that's very important to us. We want to thank the community information people that have come out. There's tables set outside. We have Start Talking Grove City. We have Adam H., Prevention Action Alliance. We have Nationwide Children's Hospital, the Buckeye Ranch, Buds Group, which is a suicide prevention, Ohio Addiction Recovery Center, which is located here in Grove City, and the Grove City Police Department. So as you go outside when we're done here to go to these other rooms, also visit those tables. Up next, we have Sergeant Jeff Zeck from the Franklin County Sheriff's Department.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sergeant Jeff Zeck. I'm with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for a little over 15 years. The last 10 years, I've been in undercover investigations, covert investigations in various different forms. Started off just working general street level narcotics investigations, did that for a few years. For about 7 years after that, I oversaw the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. It was a good time, good job, a lot of good investigations, but obviously that has a shelf life. So starting this year, I've actually transitioned over into, I oversee the Franklin County HOPE Task Force, the Heroin Overdose Prevention Education Task Force. With that, I can go over a little bit about the Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Division, kind of what we do real quick. My parent, I guess you can say an assignment within the Sheriff's Office is in the Special Investigations Unit. Oh, real quick, the slides. I've got my slides here in front of me, so when I turn them over, if you just want to switch the slides to the next one. So you can go to the next slide. So just real quick, the Special Investigations Unit, basically we conduct any type of covert investigation for the Sheriff's Office, whether that's, obviously a lot of what we do is narcotics. We've done undercover, basically hitman type investigations, murder investigations, that sort of thing. Generally within special investigations, or where all the task force assignments come from within the Sheriff's Office, you can see there's a representation of it up here on the screen, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the DEA Task Force, which is another hat that I wear, I'll explain here in a second as well, the HOPE Task Force, which we'll talk about pretty extensively here in a little bit, that sort of thing. So just real quick, I was talking about the DEA task force. One of the other hats that I wear is I'm assigned to the DEA's cyber drug investigations task force. I'm also a task force officer with Homeland Security Investigations. I really should have a diagram up here to explain all the different nuances here. With that, at the DEA task force, we conduct investigations where basically it's drug trafficking through the internet, okay? And a lot of people say, well, how does that equate to overdose investigations? Well, guess what? A lot of kids are pretty enterprising. They're not necessarily wanting to run down to your local dope or drug dealer and walk into their house and buy narcotics. No, what do they want to use? They want to use their computers. And guess what? They're having them shipped to your house. You don't know it because they're coming in a normal post office package. Your kid gets deliveries all the time. You just hand your kid his delivery. Guess what's inside of there? Narcotics, okay? We've actually seen a decent amount where kids are purchasing these things, these drugs, through the dark web, and they're not necessarily, like we've explained earlier tonight, they're not necessarily what they're ordering. They might be thinking that they're ordering Xanax. They might be thinking they're ordering ecstasy, when in reality, the majority of it is all containing fentanyl right now, and it's killing them, okay? So that's kind of how it relates. These all kind of tie together, okay? So with that, this next slide is just kind of a general overview of who all is assigned to our task force, who all works with our task force. Basically, our task force, we work with a lot of the different suburbs here in Franklin County and the townships, okay? We all kind of partner together to combat what it is that's going on. So the HOPE Task Force was formed about 5 years ago now to combat what it is that's going on, to take a two-prong approach, okay? What we do is we partner with a lot of these different agencies that you'll see up here with Southeast Healthcare in particular. And we are not only conducting investigations, but we are conducting outreach to try and get these individuals that are overdosing and living help, okay? So we're not going out and taking them to jail and just locking them up and saying, here you go, this is your avenue. No, we are trying to actually get them help, okay? So what we do, just a real quick overview of what we do when it comes to fatal overdoses. We respond to any fatal overdose within our jurisdiction. So that's Franklin County, a lot of the suburbs, or the townships, I should say. And what our goal is to try and figure out where the drugs came from, okay? Whether that's through interviewing who else is on scene, or taking their cell phones and breaking into them and analyzing them and trying to figure out where it is that they actually purchased their narcotics from, and then working backwards from there, okay? That is what we try and do on those types of cases, all right? So there's 3 of us within the sheriff's office that whenever there is a fatal overdose, what appears to be a fatal overdose, is dispatched out. We respond out to it. We collect evidence. We collect cell phones. We interview people on scene to try and figure out where it is the narcotics are coming from, because that is one of our goals. It's not, again, it's not to necessarily take every drug user to jail. It's to try and figure out where it is that they're getting their drugs from, okay? Because you know, what they're buying is not necessarily what it is that they're shopping for, okay? So non-fatal overdoses, we receive reports in that where our patrolmen, our townships respond to overdoses that are occurring, but the person does not die. Once we receive those reports, we go out, not just with law enforcement, but with Southeast Healthcare, like I talked about earlier, and we try and make contact with these victims that have survived and try and get them help, okay? Our representative from Southeast Healthcare, she is great. What she's able to provide is immediate treatment right there, okay? They are able to go to treatment right there if they want to, no expenses out of their pocket, it's all covered, just to try and get them help, okay? We do that quite a bit. We're gonna be doing that tomorrow. We do it 1 to 2 times a week at least to try and locate these individuals. That's what our goals are. Some of the roadblocks that we have with these investigations, kind of what I alluded to earlier, there's a lot of things that need to line up, okay? Especially when we're talking about the fatal overdose investigations. First of all, we've got to be able to get into their phone, which sometimes it's pretty impossible, okay? Second of all, if we get into their phone, we've got to find communication that will help lead us to where the drugs are coming from, okay? Unfortunately, a lot of these individuals, they'll delete out their conversations because they don't want to be caught by either their loved ones or by the police. So it's hard to find that evidence. Another roadblock is the fact that a lot of these individuals, when the coroner's report comes back, they don't just have one thing in their system, they've got about 15 things in their system. And trying to prove what exactly killed them, even though we're pretty positive we know what killed them, it's pretty hard. So these are some of the roadblocks that that we're seeing now. Also, sometimes we'll get our coroner's report back that they may have some things in their system, but they died of a heart attack. They died of some other underlying condition, not necessarily the drugs that are in their system. So these are some of the roadblocks that we face. It takes a lot of things to line up for us to have a successful prosecution in these cases. So a lot of what we're able to do is basically we're able to, if we're able to find out who it is that's supplying the drugs, we're able to work a narcotics investigation on them, not necessarily a involuntary manslaughter investigation on these individuals. So like I was saying earlier, we are a two-prong approach. We're not just investigations, we're not just treatment, we're both. And we are offering these individuals that have survived a way out, truly, with treatment that is available right now. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. The other part that we do is the education part. Okay, it's not necessarily just in person on scene, but another program that we have is actually it's a few slides down. It's called Operation Street Smart, and we've actually got one that's going on right now. Some of you guys might have attended them. It's a drug education course, and it's educating the public about the dangers of drugs nowadays. Okay, because again, like I said, pretty much, and like we've all said, pretty much everything that you're buying out there is more than likely going to have fentanyl in it, and you know, it's bad things are going to happen, unfortunately. So again, a little bit about Southeast. They are wonderful. They've been a wonderful partner for us because they're just who we go to. Okay, they're able to provide all kinds of resources for these individuals, also for the families themselves, not just the individual who's suffering from this issue, but the families also, because you know you guys have to deal with these sorts of things. So again, more about what it is that Southeast does. Southeast does a lot. One of the things that we've done here recently this year is we've been conducting some pop-up events, basically. We've done a few of them in the townships and out into where the sheriff's office specifically responds to as well. And what we're doing is we're offering free food, clothing, hygiene items, those sorts of things to get people in the door. But then while they're there, Southeast Healthcare is there as well to offer them resources for addiction recovery, and also offering them Narcan and Narcan training as well for anybody that comes there. Okay, so we're trying to not necessarily just respond anymore to when an overdose event happens. We're trying to get it on the front end as well. So again, we've been graciously donated a lot of items this year. Last night, we're actually conducting one of these events this Saturday in Clinton Township, and Get Behind the Badge donated 75 bags worth of toys for us to give away for the holidays for young boys and young girls. We're going to be procuring some food to pass out as well. We were hoping it was turkeys, but apparently we learned yesterday there's a turkey shortage, so we're not going to be passing out turkeys anymore. But we're going to have some sort of food to pass out, along with a ton of clothing and hygiene items as well, to get people in the door to open the conversation about these sorts of issues. So. Like I talked about earlier, when it comes to the educational piece, one of the things that we do also is Operation Street Smart. They provide presentations to like this to a lot of organizations that ask them to come out. They put on a wonderful show, but they do a lot of education about the different types of drugs that are coming in, what we're seeing, that sort of thing, and the dangers behind it, and the different ways that people are hiding it. For those of you with kids in your houses, kids are pretty ingenuitive. Like I said earlier, kids are not necessarily going to the local drug house to purchase their narcotics anymore. They're sitting behind their computer, ordering it up and waiting, and within a couple of days, it's arriving in the mail. We actually conducted this earlier today. When I was working with the DEA, we were investigating an individual he's out in Arkansas, but the reason why we are investigating people all over the country is because the drugs are coming here. Okay, that's how we're able to investigate individuals across the country. We did a search warrant earlier this year, a couple of months ago, where an individual was receiving his narcotics here in the Central Ohio area, but they were coming out of Paris, France. They come from everywhere. Okay, they come from within the United States, outside the United States. They don't just come from China. That's where a lot of people think they come from. They come from everywhere. Okay, and our individual here in Central Ohio was able to identify the larger kingpin in Paris, France. So they were able to take him down off these dark web markets. But regardless, like I was saying earlier, it's so easy to buy drugs off the internet. We did it earlier tonight. It takes about 10 minutes. We placed an order, hit the send button, sent our, we use cryptocurrency, sent our cryptocurrency, and then our individuals out in Arkansas sat at a post office box and watched and filmed it and sent it to us here a little bit ago of our drug dealer just putting drugs in the mail, and within 2 days it's going to arrive here. It's that simple, okay? These are things that we need to think about, especially as parents, okay? Your kids are getting items a lot in the mail, Amazon all the time, but a lot of these things that are arriving, they just look like manila envelopes, or they look like U.S. Post Office box envelopes, just regular envelopes. You might want to ask your kid, what's inside of there, you know? Especially if you look at who is it addressed to, and if they have the wrong name but the right address, or if they have a return address that's out in the Netherlands. Why is your kid getting some from the Netherlands? These are just some of the things that we need to start thinking about as well, okay? So that's kind of what we do within the HOPE task force, okay? Like I said, we have a two-prong approach, and this is what we do. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Our next